Issues and Tissue, a contemporary magazine program that engages and discusses issues of development within and outside the state. The program brings to the fore ranging topics like education, politics, agriculture, just name it, while we examine the nitty-gritty of the issue in focus. Join me, BC Akpaida, 4:30 p.m. every Wednesday on African Independent Television, AIT, for an exciting time. Issues and Tissue. If we can think it, we can discuss it. Alright, good evening and thank you very much for staying tuned to your station, African Independent Television, AIT. My name is BC Akpaida and you're welcome to another edition of Issues and Tissue, our contemporary magazine program that focuses on issues of development, and of course we attempt to discuss everything that has to do with our everyday life and progress. And today we'll be looking at something very interesting, of course something on the front burner right now, which has to do with gender violence and issue of rape. And I have a very special guest. I have a quality guest, I would say, in the studio, someone who's been on this issue for a while. And after the break, definitely we'll get to meet her. Go nowhere, just stay tuned. We'll be right back. Issues and Tissue, a contemporary magazine program that engages and discusses issues of development within and outside the state. The program brings to the fore ranging topics like education, politics, agriculture, just name it, while we examine the nitty-gritty of the issue in focus. Join me, BC Akpaida, 4:30 p.m. every Wednesday on African Independent Television, AIT, for an exciting time. Issues and Tissue. If we can think it, we can discuss it. Alright, you're welcome back. The program is still Issues and Tissue, and this is African Independent Television here in Benin City. And I have with me a very lovely lady, of course, someone with the NGO, Ronke Ojekere. You're welcome on the program today.
Thank you very much, BC. Good evening. Good evening, viewers.
Alright, it's good to have you. And Ronke Ojekere is of the Society to Heighten Awareness of Women and Children Abuse. They call it Tawaka, right? Tawaka. Alright, I think we need to really go into what the issue of gender abuse is, or gender violence rather, like we want to put it. And can you fill in the gap for us?
Okay, gender-based violence is mostly erroneously looked at as a women issue, a feminine issue. But like the word goes, gender is another word that has replaced sex, the sex of an individual. So gender-based violence is a violent attack, that has been perpetrated on either the male or the feminine, the masculine or the feminine gender, and all sorts of violence we know. We have physical violence, we have emotional and psychological violence, we have verbal abuse, we have neglect, we have financial abuse and all of it. So it all depends on which angle we want to look at it. But in one word, gender-based violence is any harmful issue that has been perpetrated on either the masculine or the feminine gender.
Okay, I would also want us to dwell just a bit on the emotional violence while we're in the course of the program. But the most rampant that we have is the physical violence, and that's what happens most time in the home, or when you have like issues,
domestic violence,
yes,
kind of things.
Exactly. Now, how do you guys get to handle some of these issues?
Well, from our organization, what we do, most times we are almost like the first people that women who are going through domestic violence come to, because they believe that if they go to the police, they will be told that it is a family issue and that they should get both families involved. So they rather want to speak to an NGO to get further clarification or advice as to what to do. Most physical violences that occur, if we are lucky enough, the victim comes out alive. But most times, in the recent past, we have been seeing physical abuses that have led to the death of either the male or the female. Yes. So those are things that are avoidable. When you see that the tension is a little on the high side.
Okay, let's narrow it down to the abuse in the home. What are the tell signs? What are those things you need to look out for, before you begin to tell yourself that I need to do something or I need to speak to somebody about it?
Well, the telltale signs about domestic violence really depends. You don't know what triggers the violent act. Most times we find that most violent acts are more like transferred aggression. Something has upset the man outside, and he cannot deal with it or cannot handle it. He brings it home. Something has upset the woman outside. She brings it home. Certain things, the situation in the country right now is depressing enough to even trigger domestic violence. And then the telltale signs, when you just find somebody is continuously being verbally abusive to your person, saying things that ordinarily belittles you, then you start to ask yourself, shouldn't I just start to keep away from this person's view so that I don't get hit? Many will tell you, if you don't get out of my face now, I'll hit you.
Yes.
Says it, he might not hit you that day. And on a day when you do not expect, he strikes. On a day when you do not expect, she strikes. So there are so many things. It is the manner at which you are able to control yourself. I say when it's getting to that peak, the zenith, you should start to retrace yourself. And for the men, we know that we women, if given the opportunity to be able to speak when we are angry, men say the woman's tongue is a double-edged sword, and you don't upset her so that she will talk. But if you know that you have, I'm sure you will agree with me that we have some women who are just big nags. So if you know that you have that kind of person in the home, the best thing to do is just take a walk, go outside and then come back. But then many men, when they do that, they hit on the bottles, and when they hit on the bottles, some come back drunk. And when you are intoxicated with alcohol, there's no gainsaying that if she continues to talk, you would not hit her or something. And for the women, we'll just say to them, keep out of his way. And if you cannot keep out of when the beatings become too much, not necessarily advocating for divorce, it is also a time for you to stay out for some time until
take a break or something.
Yes, until situations have improved, and then you can come back home until you can walk around whatever it is that is triggering all of these violent acts.
Okay, let's move to the issue of rape. Sexual assault. And it's been on the increase for a while now. and people have said because of COVID-19. I don't know if you agree with that.
Well, yes. Although rape happens every day, defilement happens every day, but with COVID, with the lockdown in the home, with the lockdown, we're beginning to see more of these things happening. Maybe because of idleness, maybe because now you are at the reach of the vulnerable, either the vulnerable male or female child, or the vulnerable woman. So we're beginning to see an increase in it, and we're beginning to ask ourselves some salient questions concerning all of this. An uncle who maybe has been staying in the home, for example, every morning he goes out and he comes back. Most times he's not at the reach of the children in the home or even the maids or anybody in the home. Now 247 is in the house, and at the given opportunity, a sick-minded man at any given opportunity will strike. I use the word sick-minded man because no man in his rightful senses would look at a child or look at a female and say that I want to pounce on this innocent person and rape the person or defile the person. So there's always something psychologically wrong with whoever has perpetrated such an heinous crime onto a person. It is rape doesn't just come like that, and defilement doesn't just come like that. Rape and defilement are caused by people who are known to the victims, who are trusted allies of the victims. That's when it happens. A stranger from somewhere cannot just walk in and rape you. Even armed robbers, when they enter your home, they enter because somebody inside of the home has told them, the layouts of how the home is and where to find what and all of that. There are no visitors, and many armed robbers do the armed robbery things that always end up in rape is that many of them sometimes are under the influence of some kind of cheap drugs, and they strike and they go away. It's not every armed robbery case that ends up in rape, but when it happens, then we start to wonder why it has actually taken place.
Well, it's so much, for us to deal with, because we are still looking at post-COVID now. If after the COVID, after the lockdown, what is your NGO going to be doing to, reorient some people that might have been violated within the period? Because judging by the fact that sometimes some people become violent also from what they've suffered.
Yes. Whether pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID, we haven't stopped talking. We haven't stopped raising our voices onto the ills that are taking place in this present time. So post-COVID, we're going to go an extra mile this time. And we're going to be speaking to the general populace. We're not just going to be addressing the feminine gender, we're going to be addressing both the male and the female. But particularly, we're going to be addressing the males, because we believe that our males are not well tutored into knowing what is good and what is bad. So we're going to be looking at that, and we're going to be talking more to the male young child, the male youth, and the male adult. If we can get them to cooperating with us, then we can speak with them to start to educate them about what they should be doing. They should be able to protect the feminine gender. They should that should be their major major focus. Rather than having the feminine gender, they should be there to protect the feminine gender.
But of course, we also know that even the younger boys are actually at risk right now.
Absolutely, yes. The younger boys are at risk from both in the hands of even older women and older men. If you look at a boy child who would tell you that he experienced sexual assault, if you ask many young boys, they will tell you that they were deflowered by nannies and aunties.
Okay.
Yes. They got into their first sexual act was by an auntie or a nanny, having sexual pleasures with him. Yes. So that is their first break into sexual acts. So even the male gender too suffers as much abuse as the feminine gender. But you know what? The males don't come out to speak because they have been told not to cry out. That is the first thing that everybody is. A man must not be seen crying out. So when it happens to a male, only when there's something seriously the matter with the male, before you would now hear that that child was sexually violated by a woman. Or for the female, once it happens, everybody hears. And then, even when people hear, we still have that culture of silence. So those who will speak out will speak out. Those who have already had that thing in them that mother is saying, don't talk because father has said you want to pull my family name into the dredge, they would not talk. Even when they come out and you think that you are making the headway with the case, you find that there are times that many of them just pull out. And if you are lucky enough and you can speak with the complainant or with the victim or the victim's mother, you will hear, my family says we will settle it the family way. Rather than wanting to pursue justice, they would rather go the family way, where they would ask the offender to buy some coke or to buy some.
What would possibly be the reason for this? Is it a cultural failure or something?
Well, they want to look at it and tell you that it's a cultural thing. But I just think that it is just this culture of silence. We must not say anything. You forget that the person who it has been done to is the hurting person. Are you thinking about the person in the very near future? That is the survivor. Have you thought about what will happen to that child after today?
Yeah, psychologically.
Yes, have you thought about all of that? No, they haven't. What they are just looking at are short-term goals. Okay, the offender has offered XYZ amount of naira. Let's take it. The family is saying I'm sorry, that family name. The wife whose husband has defiled the daughter is telling you, I want to protect my marriage.
Yeah.
And I ask you, what marriage are you protecting if your husband can go and lie with your daughter in bed and have sexual intercourse with your child? You want to protect that marriage for him to continue to do the acts? Those are the things. And that's why when we talk about sexual abuse of children, especially the ones where parents and families have decided that rather than speak out, they will be silent, we ask them, think about tomorrow. Think about how distraught that child will be when she finds out. Because even though when you're saying that stigma is what you are afraid of, people would label your child. Once one person in the family knows, every other person will know. So why don't you shame the devil and shame the perpetrator.
Exactly.
So that you not only bring the perpetrator to book, you name the perpetrator and you shame him. And then if tomorrow the child grows up and asks, I hear I was violated, what did you do? You should be able to look your child in the face to say, you know what? What happened to you? I went the whole hog. I got justice for you. The person who violated you did go to jail. You don't know.
Yeah,
what?
but that takes us to the judicial system now. Do we actually get justice when these cases are taken to our courts?
Yes, we do. No matter how long it takes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
And
Yes.
then the level of punishment, are you okay with, because I learned it's about 14 years, that's what
Maximum of 14 years, minimum of 12 years or something. I don't think that, personally, I don't think that the punishment is commensurate to the crime that was committed. I don't think so. It's very painful because you rape a child, you defile a child, you rape a woman, you take away that person's dignity. That scar remains for the rest of their life. And somebody go to prison for 12 years. It's even good now. What when it was 2 years?
I learned that some female lawyers and activists are actually clamoring for castration of the male pets.
Well, yes, I think that I will be one of those people too, away from even saying kill him. Yes, as bad as that, you know. But I would add my voice to the. Maybe when they start to count again, they will have something a little higher than 500. Yes, castration should be the answer for now, since we cannot now start to kill. But I was reading the other day in the newspaper that where is this? They said they were going to hang somebody for raping, for defiling a 2-year-old child. So, and I know that once that pulls through, another person will take it on.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. So
Okay,
we're
so
still
what
watching.
is SOTAWA doing right now to ensure that we educate the society better? Because it's easy for one to get raped and they want to hide it, like you said.
Yeah.
And are you doing anything from the grassroots to reorient the mind of the average young boy and even girl on the issue of sexual violence?
Well, for the we work more in the grassroots communities. Yes, we work in the rural community. We also work in the grassroots community where we have begun to sensitize our young people. It's something that is going on and on and on, and we will not stop talking.
Okay.
We start to tell them the telltale signs. Like for the children, we start to teach them their swimming suit areas, and we start to advocate that children must know the correct names of their private parts and be able to. We say to children, if anybody is touching you in a way that is uncomfortable for you, kick and shout. Kick, slap, and shout. And then let that adult now come to report you. Then you would have to report what you did. You have to tell somebody. So we are beginning to teach all of those ones, and then we're beginning to teach them the things that are sexually offensive.
Okay, quickly now, because my producer just says we're out of time. If someone is listening right now and watching and feel like maybe I would love to, meet with this person, or I have something to say, how do you think they can reach you?
Well, we're located in Benin. Our office is at Giwa Ambo, number 31 off Airport Road. And then we have our hotline number where you could call us anytime. And even if it is just to talk, we have our hotline number. And we have other numbers you could reach us at. Our hotline number is 0807 440 3088. 0807 440-3088. Our alternate number is 0809-172-8363.
All right, I hope the producer, okay, yes, right there on the screen. So at least you can, pick up your biro and paper and write that down quickly, so that just in case, you're going through any of the sexual abuses or gender violence. We've been speaking with Ronke Ojekere. She's from the Society to Heighten Awareness and Children Abuse. Thank you so much, Ronke, for coming on the program.
Thank you, BC, for having me.
All right, and if you need to tweet at us and then you need to say a thing or two, you can tweet at literaryminds@yahoo.com, or you send a text message to 081-5492-9255, and that'll be all on the program for today. Next week is another edition, same time, same station. Make sure you stay with us on AIT. My name is BC Akpaida. Have a lovely evening. Issues and Tissue, a contemporary magazine program that engages and discusses issues of development within and outside the state. The program brings to the fore ranging topics like education, politics, agriculture, just name it, while we examine the nitty-gritty of the issue in focus. Join me, BC Akpaida, 4:30 p.m. every Wednesday on African Independent Television, AIT, for an exciting time. Issues and Tissue. If we can think it, we can discuss it.